everything was in whispers. I had an uncle, now late, who was interested in politics. He left the country in 1964, but that wasn't enough. It was my going to the University of the North, Darflop, in 1971 that really increased my interest in politics. There was a lot of discussion. One was excited about going to university. You looked forward to certain things. When we were there for say about 2 months, and there seemed to be no activity as you would expect at university, you'd ask yourself, am I in an institution of higher learning? But no sooner than I had expected, our student government produced a diary that included in it this Universal Declaration of Students' Rights. The administration at Darflop was not happy with that. They expunged that. And it sparked a row between the SRC, the student body, and the administration. They did as they pleased, or as they said they would. They removed that. Those diaries ended in a bonfire. That was exciting for a new one, you know. Things had already started happening. Generally, this is 71. Things were okay. We would engage in community projects and so on. But there was a lot of discussion, a lot happening. I don't know whether it's in 71 that South Africa actually lost its case at the ICJ or ICC regarding Namibia. That set us talking a lot, and you know, we picked up a lot about politics, national and international. Then came 1972. A quiet beginning. Then in April of 72, the graduates of the University of the North asked to represent them at the graduation ceremony. He agreed.
Why did they ask Mpotseng to represent them?
Well, they knew him well because he was the immediate past president of the SRC. They must have known that the man is fairly articulate. He was articulate, and that he would represent them well.
Oh, so that address, he was not the president of the SRC?
No, he was the immediate past.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Then came the 26th of April. That's the date that he had to address the graduation ceremony. He told it like it is. Nothing offensive, really. He just told the truth. I think he actually quoted Foster, who said that no black man has been in trouble. Yes. So we never really thought that anything untoward would happen. He had done his job and pleased his fellow graduates. But we were wrong. He was summoned, and he was expelled from the university for bringing those quislings that Boshoff mentions in his letter to parents, and calling them what they were, sellouts. He wasn't insulting them. He was making a statement of fact. The student body did not accept that. We boycotted classes, And a decision was made that unless it's reinstated, we are not going back to classes. They did the evil things that they did all the time. I think they switched off the water. That's the problem. Your toilet's stuck, you can't drink anything, or you'll not have anything to drink, and so on and so on. The SRC brought us some food, at least for a retswelle pele. But in a typical boorish way, they stuck to their position, and at the end of the day, they expelled all 1,400 of us. And we were informed that when the school or the university reopens, we will be informed, and those who will be readmitted must come back, but those who are not shouldn't. Not everybody was readmitted. We took a decision that we stand by our initial resolution, that no one be victimized. The effect of what happened at Sheffield spread throughout the country. All institutions of higher learning, black institutions, there was unrest.
The so-called Bush universities.
Bush universities, some of them universities, but even education colleges, teacher training colleges and so on were affected. So there was that general thing. And a lot of people walked out of those institutions. Some to continue with their studies the following year with the University of South Africa. Others to work. A lot of them, fortunately, joined a lot of schools in the country. They taught at secondary schools, junior and senior secondary. And it was a blessing because in that way they could spread the word. They could explain what it is that happened at Tefrop and why. It's the many university or tertiary institution students that I talked about earlier on that had walked out of those institutions were many. And they are the ones, and they contextualized history, if one had to put it that way. If they felt that what the kids were being fed was just nothing else but history written in white ink, they would tell them the truth. That is why you produce the likes of Tsietsi Mashinini, Khotso Satlulo, Zweli Sizani, Billy Masetla, and others. Those are the people who are produced by that kind of conscientization. And among other things, really, we have the likes of Tiro to thank. Whether or not you agree with me is another thing. People are entitled to their views. But I think that speech changed the course of our history. As a struggling people in this country, yes. So there was that period, 8 years, where when people discuss politics, they even close their curtains so that their lips couldn't be seen to be moving. I don't know, maybe we were afraid of lip readers. They could tell that we are discussing politics. That had to be broken. And the founding of SASO was a welcome development. Then the Black People's Convention. And then the student organization, high schools, the youth organizations in the country. Then came the black community programs. The school boards of Meadowlands and Dobsonville were the first to stand up in opposition of using Afrikaans as a medium of instruction. You'd listen to some of the teachers try to go on with their lessons in Afrikaans. They didn't know much Afrikaans. So what were we getting from them? What was to become of us? When our tutors themselves had difficulty with the language. See the irony of 1976, for instance. The Minister of Bantu Education was MC Botha. Earlier in the 40s, when the Boers revolted against English as a medium of instruction, MC Botha himself was a leading figure in the movement. And they won, these bloody bastards. Huh? So they realized which way things were going in 1976. That's why they had to do what they did. Treurnacht was quoted in the press. You'd see it, Transvaal, Vaderland, and I think their magazine To The Point, their propaganda magazine, that black people, or Bantu as they called us, pay their taxes to their respective homelands. They can go there and determine what the language of instruction will be in those homelands. We pay taxes in white South Africa and we will determine that. And Afrikaans it is going to be. Some parents may have been thinking that their children went into exile when they were buried in those mass graves. When they didn't come, it's just that they fell in this battle against colonialism, settler colonialism. That is the kind of people we are dealing, this was perhaps the most savage, most repressive regime humankind has ever known.